Taking the time at the halfway point to kind of look back at what you guys have done, you guys have evolved probably over those 6 games. Is there anything that kind of stands out to you as you evaluate where you are and where you guys want to go the second half?
Yeah, I think the first half of the year was just inconsistencies. Whether that's the people on the field and the personnel and not being able to practice and then not being available on game days, whether that's the identity of who we were offensively, whether that's inconsistency in getting penalties and dropping the ball and running the right play. You could see those inconsistencies week 1 through 4. And I think the last 2 weeks, you saw a team that didn't get penalties, right? You saw a team that, for the most part, 11 guys were doing the same thing. And you saw a team that, for the most part, they were dinged up, but you had the 10 or 11 guys in the field that going into the season, we felt like we're going to take the field. So you kind of had what we prepared for this year, these last 2 weeks, and you combine that with we played how we should play in terms of cleaner football. Not clean football, but cleaner football. So moving forward, we just got to be able to build on that. Like I said, we're nowhere near where we want to be, right? But we're slowly getting better, and we're slowly getting to a point where we can execute and be efficient down the field. And that's what we've got to be. We've got to be an efficient football team.
Again.
Is Jordan, as he gets more experienced on the plays where 11 guys don't do exactly what or you get something unexpected, is he getting to a place where he can kind of help manage some of those situations when it gets hairy? Yeah,
that's the X factor he provides. There was a play in last week's game where, to be honest, it wasn't a good call. We called a motion screen to the field where normally we have some sort of hot throw behind it, but we didn't have a hot throw that week because we felt like we were going to get a tip versus a corner pressure. They didn't tip their corner pressure. They brought corner fire. There's no good play for him. He makes the corner miss. He goes for 6 yards, 2nd and 4. It's the first time y'all have probably ever thought how in-depth of that play was, but instead of a 2nd and 15, we're at a 2nd and 4 because he is able to take those negative plays and he's able to turn them into a positive. And what he needs to continue to build on is making the routine play in the pocket and being comfortable doing it. And that was one thing in last week's game he did. And I keep saying this is that only comes with time. When guys are in green jerseys at practice, it's really, really easy to sit in there, right, when things are coming on you because you're in a green jersey. It's a lot harder when there's live bullets. That only happens through reps and time. This is a kid who's only played, probably a combined, 14 halves of football in the last 2 years, or last 4 years, really. So he's getting better every game, and he's got to continue to build on those things every game.
I know Coach Norvell talked about getting to get out on the road recruiting this weekend. I know y'all have gotten to host plenty of people, especially over the last few months, but this was kind of the first time since pre-pandemic getting to go out and do the evaluation period. I guess how valuable was that, and just the conversations with recruits over the last few weeks as the progress has been shown?
Yeah, it's critical to be able to go out and see kids live and in person. It's one thing to eval a kid on tape. It's another kid to eval him at a camp, but to see him in a live setting, right? Now, from a personal relationship, right now we're not allowed to talk to prospects. So from that dynamic, we don't really get those personal conversations you can't have. But the key for us is, to see when a kid is on the field in high school, you better be the best player. We get all these sheets that we get handed, right, from all our people, and I take those sheets and I don't even look at them when I go to a game. Because if you don't stand out, right, if I don't notice you when you're on the field and say that dude is different than everybody else, right, then all you are is somebody else said you were good. That's all it is. So when we go to games, we're trying to evaluate what are the difference makers, not what are the guys that are on a sheet, right? Who are the guys that are different, whether they're a 0-star, whether they're a 2-star, whether they're a 5-star. I don't care. I want the guys who you watch the game and you say, holy cow, I don't want to play him. And if you get all the guys on your team that you don't want to play, you're going to be pretty good. You have an issue when you start taking kids on your team that you don't really mind if you play, like, okay, well, I don't care if we play him. Then he plays for you. Now you got a problem because other teams aren't worried about him either.
When you offensively, you look at quarterbacks, and I don't know how much time you get to watch other teams that you guys don't have on the schedule, but there's a lot of quarterbacks that are very high profile that are struggling. How hard is it to play college quarterback? And, and then how important is it or how do you determine whether or not a guy, if they're struggling early, can get through that or not?
I think it's a combination. I think there's usually when you start and you have your first few starts, people don't know how to defend you. There's not a book yet. So you kind of have an advantage to play rogue ball a little bit. And they haven't figured you out, right? They're just calling a defense to call a defense. They think you're young, so maybe they pressure more. They think you're not accurate, so maybe they drop 8 more, right? Make you throw into tight windows. Whatever that is, they don't really have a plan, though. They don't know that you always roll right. They don't know that you always evade left. They don't know interior pressure flushes you out even if there's no pressure. They don't have that book on you yet. So I think early in a kid's career, you can see success through playmaking. But as their career progresses, all of those special plays are gonna slowly decrease, because when you face a good defensive coordinator that knows what you do when bad stuff happens, he's gonna create that bad stuff to happen, hoping you go back to, I roll right when there's pressure. Or any interior pressure, I get out of the pocket. So I think it then translates to, okay, can I take my game to the next level, and can I be calm in the pocket? Can I be poised in the pocket? And whether a kid can manage that, I think you have to know that in your own room. Is a kid capable of overcoming his deficiencies? Which means if a kid likes to get out of the pocket, well, does he have it in him? Has he showed the ability to make a read in the pocket and deliver it in practice? And if the answer is yes, then you just got more reps in a game day, and eventually it's going to click for him. But if you're in practice and the kid can't even do it in practice, then I think okay, this is a deficiency in what he does. We've either got to work around this deficiency of he's never going to feel comfortable back here. That's not his game. We got to move the pocket more, or this guy just needs more reps in those live game settings. That way he can get those pressure looks, right, and be comfortable. Because if a kid struggles with interior pressure, he may only get 1 or 2 of those in a game. It's only 2 reps to really improve in a live setting. It's going to take 4, 5, 6, 7 games for him to truly say, okay, I am good here. I can be comfortable. So it's kind of a scapegoat long answer, but I would say it's a combination of balancing what your guy can do well, and if he can overcome his shortcomings once teams figure that out, because everybody has a weakness. You've got to be able to balance out that weakness, and if you have the ability to do that, then I think you can overcome it. If you don't have the ability to do that, then you as a staff have to try to fix it, right, or you're going to continue to have the same problems.
Hey, Coach, just coming off the bye week, what's kind of that measuring stick you need to see from your guys to show that their development's still kind of going in that right direction?
Play hard. Play hard. Come out with a passion to just be the very best we've ever been. That's it. Right? When we take the field, I want to see 11 guys doing the right thing, playing as hard as I've ever seen them play. Because that is the same thing when we show up tomorrow for practice. Right? If 11 guys are playing as hard as they can, they're communicating, and they're doing the right thing, that's how we know we're going to progress. All the plays, I always say it, and everybody thinks, all the plays sound great. No. Good football teams play really, really, really hard, and they all just do their job. And then that's football. They do their job, and they do it full speed 100% of the time. And that's what I want to see from our guys.
Jerry, number 11.
In a perfect world, if you come out and play good Saturday, what's your thought process on getting some of the young guys in? Purdy, some of the offensive linemen?
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously an ideal situation, but, I mean, we're focused on playing our best football game. And whoever's in the game is in the game. But we're not even, that hasn't even, I know it probably should come up, but we're focused on winning the football game, but not just winning the game, playing the very best we can possibly play. We've yet to have a game where we achieved all our offensive goals. Right? Last week, we played really, really, really well. 7 real possessions, we scored 5 touchdowns, right? That's good football, right? But at the end of the day, we still didn't achieve all our offensive goals. We still had a pre-snap penalty. It's one of our goals. Can we go out there and we just achieve our goals? Doesn't matter what anybody else does. Let's achieve our goals in one football game.
Treshaun, you guys came into the season expecting him to be able to contribute, but this is the first season of college football where he's actually gotten a lot of playing time. Like, what has that done for him? What have you seen from him? Not just, we know he can carry the ball, but like, what has that done for him overall?
I think the confidence, he's always been a confident kid. He's always known that he has the ability. That's why he turned down scholarship offers to walk on at Florida State, because he knew if he got his opportunity, he was confident enough that he could play at this level. I mean, I talked to him, I think 3 weeks ago, about that conversation of what made you choose this opportunity here, and it was that. He goes, Coach, I was confident in myself that I knew I could play at this level. He felt like he would have been shortchanging himself to not be here. And you could always see that confidence in him, but when you can go out there and prove yourself right a little bit, it then gives him the ability to lead. And he doesn't lead through rah-rah. He doesn't lead through speeches. He leads because everybody knows he's one of the best players on the football team. And every single day, you don't have to worry about him. I don't ever need to go up and give him a pep talk. That's not who he is. Right? When you go out in the practice field, that's a dude that you're going to have to slow down. He's got a little bit of a kid we coached at Memphis, Anthony Miller, in him, where you're going to have to say, don't block that kid into the water cooler, right? It's okay. Like, we're out of bounds now, right? He's got a little more of that in him, which is what you want your football team to have. And when kids like that have success, it allows him to kind of take on more of a leadership role just because people are watching him. Doesn't have to do anything else. He just has to go be him. But everybody else is going to raise their level of play because they see the success he's having with that mindset that he creates.
How has Cam McDonald developed over the course of the season? And I know he doesn't get a ton of opportunities in the passing game, but he gets a good mitt.
Yeah, I think Cam's done a good job progressing. I think he's been a much more willing blocker this year than last year, which obviously being a wideout in high school and then transitioning to the tight end position, not really getting much playing time before we got here, right? Stuck on the depth chart. Year two, really with we're a heavy tight end team, so him getting the reps, the live reps of running split zone, of blocking a 6 technique on inside zone and having to cut him off, all those things have been great for him. And then that's a kid that when his number is called in the passing game, he showed up. I mean, that's one of our most consistent players in the passing game for sure. But from a progression standpoint, I think the overall football player he's becoming because of his ability to block is getting him more open in the screen game, right? Because getting him more open in 4 verticals, whatever that looks like week 3. So I think for him, he's progressing, and he's got to keep getting better, get his hands a little tighter, not hop as much. But that's just stuff that we're working on. Those are the fundamentals that we're trying to get better at.
Aslan, back right.
Coach, did anything change over the last 3 weeks in terms of the confidence and the trust that you guys have in Jordan and the confidence and trust that Jordan has in you guys that has allowed him and this offense to really kind of blossom here over the last 3 weeks?
Well, I can only answer the first part of the question about our trust in him. And to answer that question, no. Nothing from my end has changed, in my opinion of him. I've had that opinion since, a year and a half ago with what I think he can be. Back when people said he couldn't throw an out route, right? When we showed up, I always knew and believed in his ability. Now, at the same time, he has worked to get better. That didn't just happen. It wasn't like he always had it, right? He had the ability, but being able to tap into that ability is one thing, right? It's like that saying, potential, right? Potential gets you fired, right? If you have potential your entire life, it means you've always sucked, right? Eventually, your potential, right, has to become good and become something. And he had that potential, and he's put in the work, and he's tapped into that work these last few games, and he's starting to get that potential out of himself. The second half of that, his thought about us, you'd have to ask him that question. I hope it hasn't changed. I hope he's thought that we'd always have his back and always believe in him, but that's a question for him.
Okay. Thanks, Kenny.
All right, thank y'all.